Alright, I got the screws out, I got the glue broke loose here. Alright, good morning, welcome back to CNC Equipment's YouTube channel. We got a bunch of stuff going on that you guys can see around here. We've got dozers sitting everywhere. Even got a couple piles of stone, but we'll get to that in a second. Local logger's been tearing up some stuff and bringing it in. We're kind of getting behind. We've been working on Hunter's highboy project, trying to get it done before he goes back to school, but got some dozers sitting over here. Blades falling off this one over here. Take a peek at it. This is actually my own dozer here, but we've got to take a look at this one maybe later on in this video. It depends what the first one takes, but you guys can see I don't believe that's attached anymore. So if we get time to look at that later on. We've got 650H sold a couple years ago. Guys complaining that it's not turning straight when it gets hot, so we're going to have to run it and get it warmed up and see what's going on with it. If you guys have been watching my videos when I first started doing YouTube full time, we actually did a couple videos on putting this blade on this dozer. Put a new blade skin on this, and this was actually a new C-frame from Paint Valley Equipment. Put new cylinders and stuff on that, but looks like she's holding up pretty good. So before the guys get here, I was going to run this thing this morning. See, we got an oil leak up in here somewhere. I'm just going to run this thing this morning a little bit and see exactly what it's doing, get it warmed up. We got those two piles of gravel out there, and I'm going to push those out. After we put that concrete in there, it had a little bit of a flat spot, and it likes to hold. It doesn't really stand water, but just enough to stay wet for a couple days after it rains. So I'm going to kind of fill in that low spot. With this dozer here, we'll get her fired up. Pull it over there. Looks like they've changed transmission filters. We got good oil. So I'm not exactly sure what was going on. He said it was after it gets warm it doesn't steer straight or doesn't pull right or something. So it could be something simple or it could be something major. You never know. Moving all together. You see we got F392 code. I believe that's for a speed sensor. Back here, if you guys can see that. I literally didn't drive it 10 feet to quit. shortcuts. We're gonna go to diagnostics and read some speeds. That's the engine RPM. This is a left-hand motor. It's gonna pull up next. Let's see. It's reading. The right-hand motor looks like it's reading. I'm gonna run it here a little bit. It's not doing it right now. See when it quits doing it if we lose our RPM reading in our drive motor. That's the first thing to check on these things when you get codes like that for the speed sensors. But I'm gonna push some of this gravel down, see what it does. So I've been running this here a little bit. It finally started acting up. I don't know if you guys can see all this water in here. It's really hot today. I turned the air conditioner on. We've got condensation running down the outside of the window, and then it's actually coming in through the crack and running around this transmission controller. As soon as that got wet, it started acting up. So I don't know, but if I was a betting man, that's probably our problem. Like right now, it won't even move. We all know that water and electronics don't mix. It's all messed up right now. It's kind of, I've never seen that happen, but I'm gonna call the customer and see if it only happened on hot days, because it literally took 15 minutes before we got enough water down in there to mess it up. But that might be my guess on that situation. But it had probably 1/8 inch of water in there earlier in that air conditioner. But it's so hard to emulate some of this electronical stuff sometimes without running. You know, if I hadn't turned that air conditioner on, we might have not found that, and that may not be the problem. You guys watched my previous video. We had all that hydraulic issues, overheating on that other dozer, and actually did not fix that yet. So customer took and it's still overheating, but there's another video coming on that. So, but I'm gonna try to run this a little bit more, but I'm kind of leaning towards that right now. It's got a bunch of wacky codes in it, but I don't know. I'm gonna run it here a little more and we'll see. Alright, so we're at the back of the air conditioner here. There's a little condensate tube right there that's broke off. We're gonna need to get tied into that, get it run back down. It should go through that hole right there, but it's probably got tore off somewhere along the lines. But it's running down, getting behind that glass for whatever reason, flooding that computer out. But I think that's gonna be our problem. I'm not it's always hard to tell with this electrical stuff, but that is a smoking gun for sure. All that water sitting right there by that transmission controller. So I'm probably gonna call a customer and see what he wants to do, and I'm gonna talk to him and see if that's something that happened only when it was getting hotter. I think it's what he said. So it's kind of hard to grade gravel out with the dozer. It don't steer run right. So anyway, we got it knocked down roughly. I'll get it fixed. We'll get a new transmission controller in. I'll probably back drag that a little bit more. All right, so back up in our dozer, I'm gonna do Something I've never tried before. I'm going to, oh, that thing's corroded up pretty bad. So, talking in there, it's pretty expensive. I didn't get a hold of the customer. These things are $4,500 new from John Deere, and I'm worried with all the water. You can get them rebuilt, but we might open the back of this thing up here and see what it looks like. But thinking about getting a big old bag of rice and sticking it in a bag of rice and drying it out, since it seemed to work when it was dry. And I don't know, we may pop this back off and see what's hiding back behind there. That will probably tell us a lot. You can see there's holes right there, water. That water was deep enough to get in there pretty easy. So let's just a 10mm 4 bolts, and these are 1/4 inch right here. Pops right out. So Mr. Kevin's outside here working on the air conditioner drain. He's gonna get it run out the back area away from that window, aren't you? Yeah. Hey, should we pop this back open and see what's behind here? Just for torque screws. It's probably glued on like no other, but we can't mess it up too much, can we?
No. How could we?
You can tell it's getting it's been getting wet for a while. All right, I got the screws out. I got the glue broke loose here. Tell we've had some water in there. Some corrosion. There's just a big old control board in there. That's what controls the transmission on these things. So it's not looking too terrible. So I think what we'll do, we'll go to the dollar store and get a big old bag of rice, stick that thing in there. It's Friday now, we'll let it dry over the weekend, put it back together, and see if it works. Hey, you know how to fix this?
Oh yeah, Bob.
It don't look terrible. You can see where it was leaching through right there, but
yep.
I think
It's
the
like
rice.
when you dropped your iPhone in the toilet, you just
Throw it in a bag of
throw
rice,
it in a
right?
bag of rice.
We're gonna try that over the weekend because it can't hurt nothing. It don't cost nothing. If that don't fix it, then we'll go from there. So, all right, Mr. Andy stopped at John Deere this morning and got us a brand new transmission controller. My customer wanted to overnight one in. That was on Friday. It's actually Monday morning now. He just wanted to go with the new option, which can't blame him. He's working in the woods, needs his machine back quickly. So we're gonna hope this is it. I had talked with him. There's a chance that may not fix it, but it's a good starting point. So brand new. This thing's like $4,500 or crazy. So but we're gonna get this put in there and we'll see what happens. All right, so up here in the beast, let's go right here on this left side. It's all dried up here now. Just a simple bolt-in deal. There's not much to it, so get that bolted in there. We'll turn the disconnect switch back on. It's always a good idea to shut that off. Then we'll start it up. I'll have to get it warmed up. I'll work on that gravel a little bit more that we worked on Friday, and if all goes well, we'll try to calibrate it and see what happens. All right, got the power on. So this thing probably won't go over about half speed, and it's not calibrated, so F3J4 code, that's a calibration code. It's the only one it's got in it right now, so that's a plus. Far up here, got check service code, that means it's not calibrated. Got the air conditioner on, so we'll make sure that we've got that condensation drain up out of the way. Alright, got that knocked down a little bit better. I still want to back drag it one time, kind of feathered out in the parking lot. But we're going to try to calibrate this thing here. It's been running perfect, so it's never glitched or anything. While I've done that there for about 15-20 minutes. We got our air conditioner dripping. Back here in the back, it's nice and dry in here now. So we'll shut the doors in this thing. And I'll walk you guys through the calibration process. I've done this in some other videos, but I've never done it on a 650H. They're pretty much all the same. Alright, you guys can see we're nice and dry now. So we're going to hit this menu button. I'm going to look at the codes, make sure nothing else popped up. No? Alright, so we're going to go to the calibration. We hit the menu button until it went to CAL. We're going to hit select. Got to hold it down for about 5 seconds. Okay, it flashed up. So right now it says park. It's pretty much going to tell you everything you need to know here. So first thing we got to do is put the park brake down. Now it's saying speed 1. So we're going to put our speed handle down in 1. We're going to go up to 3. Now if this was a later model with the speed and grip, you'd basically hit that button up and down there. It's the same thing as that lever. Now it's saying R steer, which stands for right steer. So we're going to go to right steer, but not counter rotate. I'll show you that in a second. Now it says left steer. Now it says neutral. Now it says RCTR. That means right counter rotate. So we're going to come over to our stop, go on over. Once you hit that stop, there's about a ½ inch. We're going to go to the stop. We got a little detent right there. That's counter rotate. Basically, that's where one track will go one way and one the other. So now it's saying forward. So we're going to push our lever in forward. Now it says neutral. We're going to go to neutral. Now reverse. So all we're doing here in this process is setting these electrical sensors. Now it says we got a code popped up, 392. One of these sensors may be out of whack here. It kicked us out of calibration. I have to get the book and see what that is. So whenever it gets something that's out of range, there was something to do with one of these sensors probably here. I'll grab the book and we'll see what that is, and we'll have to adjust it. So what we're doing, we're going through all the sensor voltage on these things. So when you go this way, you got so many volts. You go this way, you got so many volts. Say right turn may be at 1 volt, and when you go over to the left turn, you may be at, say, 4 volts. If it's out of that voltage range, it's going to throw a code up, and you'll have to adjust the sensor so you can get it within that range. So it's the same way on your throttle, speed, brake pedal, the accelerator pedal, all that stuff. Once you pass all that sensor calibration, then you're going to go through what they call a transmission calibration. It's going to calibrate the pumps where everything's sitting nice and neutral, and then we'll actually put it in gear. It's going to do like a tracking test. It's going to get those drive motors where that dozer's driving straight forward and backwards. So, but we got to pass the first part of it first. So I'll grab a book and we'll see what that code is. Alright, got our book out here. That F392 is an anti-stall code. Basically what that is, there's a speed sensor on the pump. This is a very early serial number 650H. It's early enough that it's all mechanically driven. The engine is, there's no engine computer on it. So the way they got RPMs to read for this computer is through this transmission pump down here. It's actually a speed sensor on the side of the transmission pump. The later series, they put a speed sensor, cam sensor, whatever, on the engine. They're reading it that way. But since this one doesn't have an engine computer on it, they're reading off that transmission pump. So we've selected our RPMs here in our transmission controller. You guys can see it's reading 0 right now. As you can hear, the engine is running. I do know it was reading RPM the other day, so may have a bad sensor there or something like that. I'm going to see if we've got one of those. If not, I may order one. It's probably, this thing's 24 years old, so it's probably went bad, but I'm gonna go see if we got one. If not, I'll get one probably overnighted and go from there. We can do a couple tests on the voltage here too. The book shows, check that kind of stuff. So, but we'll probably do a couple of those tests first, make sure we got power down there like we should. If not, we'll get us a controller or a speed sensor. Alright, so I actually had a wheel speed sensor in stock. Now you heard me say wheel speed sensor. These are actually the same sensors that drive off these drive motors back here. I keep these in stock. I also keep the ones in stock for the J and K series dozer. So if you guys need something like that, hit us up. Part number is AT360573. But I got the floorboard out. We're gonna get got the mat out of it. We gotta get all the dirt out of there. And then we'll pull that plate off there. And we'll try to get that. I'll show you that fire hose on there, and we'll try to get it cut off there. Alright, I don't know if you guys can see, but we're way down in here. This is actually the wire. I disconnected it. You see this red stuff on there? That's that fire protection that these fire dozers had. Just keeping the wires from burning. Usually I have some on the hoses, but there's none on here. It is nice and dry on here. Also got a fire suppression system sitting right here too. So kind of did a comparison on regular dozers and fire dozers, but that's some of the stuff you see. Notice we've got all that wrap over here on those hoses or wires. But I'm gonna get this thing out of here and probably change it out real quick because oil is gonna come out of the side of that pump. But we'll get the old one out and we'll show you how it works. Now these, you actually have to set the depth on them. We'll go in there, run it in until it stops, and crank it out about a half turn and lock the jam nut down on it. So. Alright, got the new one in there. Checking the old one out here. If you see marks on the ends of these things, that means something's usually coming apart inside the pump or drive motor. Won't see nothing on that one. These things are kind of famous for going bad. But we'll start this thing back up. I'm gonna leave the floorboards out because we might have to do some more adjusting on pressures and stuff. Hopefully not, but we should be reading RPMs now. Go ahead and try this. Alright, we got engine RPMs now, if you guys can see that. Reading about 800. Should be good on that. Alright, we got this one problem fixed. I want to get everything off the tracks here. We'll go back out there and try to recalibrate it. Alright, reading RPM. We're good shape there. We got that fixed. We're going to go back to codes and erase all those codes. Get rid of that 393 code. We'll hold that select button down when it says end and it erases the codes. When it says F300, it means you're good. So we're going to go back to calibration, hold the select button down. I'm going to go back through those steps all again. Start with the park brake, speed, go to right steer, left steer, right counter rotate, left counter rotate, forward, Well, we got another code, F358. We'll get her book out and see what that is. So it's probably one of these sensors. It's not reading right. I'll find out here in the book and we'll go from there. Alright, so that code was for our throttle voltage on our pedal. Got the book out here, so they read voltage on here. Right now you can see we're at 2.962. I don't know if you guys can see that, but when I change this, it goes to 2.263. That gives me a difference of 0.699 voltage. And the range we're supposed to be in is 0.65 to 0.75. So we're right in the middle of that. Kind of on the lower side, but we're in the middle. We should be good, so I don't know why it's throwing that code. I may try to calibrate it here another time. Sometimes you just get some wacky sensors or something like that. So that's all in specs. I don't know why it's saying it's not. Unless I wasn't pushing the pedal down all the way or something. Sometimes that happens. So I'm going to try the calibration here one more time and go from there. Now, if that voltage was not in spec, we can adjust the 2 adjuster screws on that pedal where we get the voltage in that range, because if it sees it out of that range, it will throw that code. So it's kind of strange why it's doing that, but I'm going to try it again here. Alright, so I figured that out. I guess I was going too fast. I went back here in the book. You've got to allow at least 5 seconds or more while you bump that throttle up. So I counted up to about 7 seconds. That range, I was going too quick. I'm used to doing the newer dozers. I just do a nice smooth even motion, 2 or 3 seconds, you're done. But I guess if you go too quick, it throws that code. We got past that section. And now we've got an F396 code popped up. So I'm gonna go in the book here and find where that's at and see what that code is. Just one thing after another. Anti-stall calibration code. Diagnostic code indicates the hydrostatic pump speed sensor is less than 800 RPM. So I guess we're idling a little slow. We'll go back here and check that out. These older ones are a little bit different. Well, we're idling at 8:15, 8:20, so I don't know why it's kind of getting close to that. RPM's approximately 900. They are not. No, we'll go to 3. I'll adjust. Maybe I need to adjust the idle up a little bit more. So I'm going to try to pull it one more time into calibration. It is reading up high enough. I may be able to do that just by bumping that idle up. Sometimes these computers want to read funky things. It's reading 820 RPM right now, so I'm going to go through that sensor calibration one more time. When it asks for the low side, I'm going to hold it up just a little bit, maybe try to pull it that way. If not, we'll go adjust the linkage. Alright, we're out here. I couldn't get it to pull it. We're going to adjust the pump right here on the idle. Alright, we got the RPM turned up. We're about 900 and I don't know, 10. Should be good there. Now, go through calibration again. That's what takes so long on these tractors. When I tell people, you put a speed sensor or something in something and it's still driving, working fine, don't calibrate it. Because whenever you try to calibrate them, especially these older ones, you can open up a can of worms. So we're not even halfway through the procedure yet. So I'm going to try the sensor calibration one more time. And if it goes through that, I'll bring you guys back in. Alright, we got that now. It's telling us to go into forward. So right now what it's going to do, it's going to calibrate the pumps down here. calibrating those spools down there. So we'll have to wait here probably a minute or two. It'll do forward first, and then it'll do reverse. Then we'll actually do a driving test where it drives and goes straight. But if it doesn't pass this pump calibration, we'll have to read the codes, probably adjust the pressures on that. So cross our fingers, we don't have to do that. And once we get through the pump calibration process, I'll bring it back to the driving section. Alright, we passed that. Now we're ready to go in forward low. Put that down to about 1.5. It says to move or speed up the 3. Go in reverse. Okay, push next. Now we're going to do forward high. We got it. You guys can see it says run right there. You guys look back behind there, you see the engine shield panel we about run over. I did catch it, but I was hoping it would stop saying we need to be in reverse before we run over it. Our air conditioner's dripping outside a couple feet from the cab, so we're good there. Go back here to menu. We're going to go ahead and race this code. That was that calibration code at the beginning. Alright. Go back to menu, make sure that code's gone. No codes. So we're good. Got her all fixed. So, yeah, we had to adjust a couple things. We had to adjust the engine RPM and decel pedal. But, and that speed sensor, I had to put that speed sensor in there. So, it's reading all good now. So it's kind of crazy. We're sitting around 905 RPM. It's kind of crazy. That book said as long as it was 800 or higher, it was fine. We were sitting at 810, but sometimes you get these things that get a little close to that threshold, that minimum or maximum, and they won't work right. So by just adjusting that up, we got that fixed. So another thing I tried too on that minimum RPM, I turned the air conditioner off. You guys know the air conditioner will pull the RPMs down some, so I tried that trick also. It gave me about another 5 or 10 RPM, but it still didn't do it. So, but I'm going to put the panels and everything back on here and get everything buttoned up, and I'm going to run it here and back drag some more of this gravel here and make sure that she's okay. But I think we got her. So. Good. I'm gonna put the cover back on that and all this stuff and run a little bit more, and then we'll be back. While I'm cleaning up here and thinking about the best piece of advice I can give you guys, you got these dozers, get you a factory John Deere book. This is for the H series dozers, TM 1743. Covers everything you need to know. You can get on John Deere's website. You can buy these. They're not that expensive, and they'll ship them to you in a few days. Nice books. You can do everything pretty much that you need to through that book. You don't have to have a computer. You can access all those different parameters and all that stuff through that transmission controller. A lot of people don't know that. And the later ones, you can do some stuff through the dash too. So, but I highly recommend getting a book on any machine you got. So I have access to the computer stuff too. A lot of times I find it's easier just to go to the book real quick. So. Alright, I think we got her on this one. Got the gravel all graded out nice and neat. It's a lot easier to run a dozer when it actually steers and works right. So everything's good on that. We got our air conditioner fixed where it's not running down the computer now and messing it up. You guys can see we have a wet spot right here. She's dripping straight down from up there, keeping her out of the cab. Got that fixed. So what do we find out? We replaced two things and adjusted a bunch of sensors. So replaced that engine computer and that transmission speed sensor. Now that thing was reading originally before we took that other transmission controller out, but we did have that code up there, if you guys remember. I think it was that 392 code, but it was reading engine RPMs. A couple times I did check it, so kind of sporadic. When we put that new controller in there, it was not reading for whatever reason. Who knows what happened? The other ones got shorted out. A lot of times you can just chase your tail on stuff like that. So with those older computers, keep in mind this dozer's a 99, so as of this video it's 24 years old. So those computers only have a certain time frame to them. Usually on dozers with cabs on them, it'll last a little bit longer, but once you get past that 20-year span on those things, especially the open cab dozers over there, you get something 18-20 years old, they're usually pretty bad. So but yeah, speed sensor, transmission computer, we'll tell you those parts right there add up to about $5,000 real quick. Plus we got labor in there. We had to adjust a few sensors. The engine out RPM, again, it was in spec, but it was towards the lower end for some reason. It was throwing that code on it. So sometimes even though stuff's in spec, it's a minimum spot, you need to get her adjusted up, put it up there in the middle of it. So we found out that minimum is 800 RPM. We're sitting at 810 or so. Adjust up to 900 where it's supposed to be, and it calibrated that way. So but it's always little quirks to this stuff. So, and sometimes you got to fool it, fool some sensors and stuff sometimes just get past calibration. But you can open up a whole can of worms when you try to calibrate those things. Transmission pressures, you have to go through and adjust those. Thankfully we didn't have to do it on this one, but I think she's all good to go. So we're gonna wrap this video up here. I know it's probably getting kind of long. We do have another logger dozer to work on. I got a call from another logger too. Needs a little bit of dozer work, so we may group both those into a video or something and see what all we're getting into, because you never know what they're bringing in. But hopefully you guys kind of like this technical video. A little bit different, but I can't express enough how important it is to get a book on your machine. People call up here all the time, and I don't really have the tech support. I'm not a John Deere dealer, but get you a book. It can help you out so much. So whenever somebody calls in with a code or something like that, all I'm doing is going to the book and looking those codes up. So those books aren't that expensive, a couple $100 we'll get you the book. So can't stress enough how important that is. So, and they're pretty simple to figure out. So like I say, you can get on jdparts.com, look those books and manuals up, and they'll send them to you in a week or so. But nice factory manuals. You can get them online, download them instantly if you need them. I kind of like the paper books myself, but can't stress how important that is. So, but when you call in there call us up for tech support or something like that, you're not going to get me on the phone unless I'm just happen to be sitting there. And 99% of the time I'm not sitting in the office. I'm out here working this stuff, going to auctions, whatnot. Jay and Scott in there might be able to help you out if it's something simple, but most of the time it's better off getting you a book and going from there. If you have something like that, send an email, because I do read all the emails or something like that. So, but anyway, appreciate everybody watching. If you like this video, do me a big favor, hit that thumbs up button down below. Helps me out a tremendous amount. If you want to see more cool stuff, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out, because we've got plenty more cool stuff coming up. We'll catch you guys next time.